Hey everyone, I'm Kim and welcome back to Crime Stats Daily. This is a channel where we go beyond the headlines to examine the facts, the statistics, and the stories behind the crime. Now, today I wanted to do a quick U.S. Marshals Roundup. The U.S. Marshals Services have been involved in fugitive investigations and enforcement operations across the country. And some of the latest announcements involve homicide suspects, weapon offenses, drug cases, domestic violence, and other serious crimes. But before we get into the details, there's an important question you might be asking. Why are the U.S. Marshals making these arrests? Isn't that the job of the local police? And the answer is sometimes yes. But the U.S. Marshal Services has a very specific mission that includes locating and apprehending fugitives. When someone's wanted for a crime leaves the area, and especially when they cross state lines, the marshals can work with local and state agencies to find them. That's because the U.S. Marshals led fugitive task forces bring together federal, state, and local law enforcement. So a local police department may investigate the original crime. They may obtain a warrant and then identify a suspect. If that person becomes a fugitive, the marshals and their task force partners may help locate and apprehend them. Now, let's look at the numbers involved in the U.S. Marshal Services. The U.S. Marshal Services reported more than 73,000 fugitive arrests in 2025 alone, and the exact number was 73,323. The agency also reports an average of approximately 293 fugitive arrests per operational day. And there's another important distinction. Of those 2025 fugitive arrests, 44,790 involved state and local warrants, while 28,533 involved federal warrants. So a significant portion of the Marshals' fugitive work involves people wanted by state and local authorities. Now, let's look at one of their largest recent operations highlighted by the marshals in Memphis. The task force just reported 30 arrests on Tuesday, along with the recovery of 8 illegal firearms. And several of those arrests stands out. Aaron Collins, 49, was arrested for second-degree murder and tampering with evidence following a fatal stabbing investigation. The marshals said investigators located Collins near Beale Street and 4th Street and arrested him without incident. Now, 4 juveniles were also arrested for unlawful possession of a firearm and evading arrest. According to the marshals, the task force responded to a call involving armed juveniles making threats to shoot. When officers stopped a Nissan Altima, 4 juveniles allegedly fled the vehicle on foot. All 4 were apprehended. 5 firearms were recovered. Now, another arrest involved a Braxton Cameron. He was 38, and according to the marshals, investigators observed Cameron throw a backpack that he had obtained from a parked car in front of a suspected stash house. The backpack was later recovered and contained 4.6 pounds of marijuana. Investigators then obtained a search warrant for the suspected stash house. Inside, they seized another 93 pounds of marijuana. That's approximately 97.6 pounds of marijuana connected to that investigation alone. Then there was Jarvis Powell, 40. Powell was arrested for an outstanding warrant involving weapons possession of a controlled substance in evading. The search associated with this arrest resulted in the recovery of marijuana, cocaine, oxycodone, and a Ruger .380 handgun. And then there's a Tamaron Anderson, 21, was arrested for aggravated assault and domestic violence. The marshal said Anderson matched the description in a domestic violence bolo. During a frisk, officers recovered 2 firearms. These individual cases show that the Memphis operation isn't focused on just one type of crime. The task force is dealing with violent crime investigations, firearms, drugs, outstanding warrants, and the numbers become even more significant when we look at the operation as a whole. Since the launch of the since the launch of the Memphis Safe Task Force Initiative, officers have made 12,105 arrests. That includes 122 homicides arrests, 1,312 controlled substance arrests, 1,222 firearms violation arrests, and 126 offense arrests. Now, the task force also reports that 375 juveniles were among those arrested, and 1,327 were known gang members. Officers have seized 2,066 illegal firearms. The task force has also located 186 missing children. Those are cumulative figures since the operation began. They are not numbers from Tuesday's operation. Now, the Memphis task force is a multi-agency initiative, and according to the U.S. Marshals, it coordinates federal, state, and local law enforcement, and it includes mobilized members of the Tennessee National Guard. Its stated focus includes arresting violent criminals, clearing warrants, seizing firearms, and locating missing children. And that's an important point about the U.S. Marshals role. When you see the words U.S. Marshals arrested, it doesn't necessarily mean Marshals personnel were working alone. Those operations can involve multiple agencies working together. Now, a suspect can be wanted in one jurisdiction and located hundreds of miles away. A local police investigation can become a fugitive investigation, and information shared between the agencies can ultimately lead to an arrest. That's the real value of these task force. They allow law enforcement agencies to combine resources when a wanted person crosses jurisdictional boundaries. Now let's look at the bottom line, what we take away from all this. First, there's no single nationwide daily arrest number that we can simply calculate from individual marshal press releases. Different releases cover different operations and different dates. Second, the U.S. Marshals have a much broader fugitive mission than many people actually realize. They work with federal, state, and local agencies to locate and apprehend fugitives. And third, the numbers are significant. The Marshals reported 73,323 fugitive arrests in 2025 alone, including more than 44,000 people wanted on state and local warrants. And in Memphis, the Safe Task Force has reported more than 12,000 arrests since its launch, along with more than 2,000 illegal firearms seized and 186 missing children located. But there's one thing we always need to remember when talking about arrest. An arrest is not a conviction. The people we've discussed are accused of crimes, and their cases still have to go through the court system. That's it for today's U.S. Marshals Roundup. Would you like Crime Stats Daily to make these U.S. Marshal Roundups a regular feature on this channel? I'm happy to do so. We can do that weekly whenever there are significant new operations and arrests. Let me know. Drop your comments down below. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe. Stay informed, stay aware, and more importantly, stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next episode.